Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is gonna be my review for the originals season one, episode 21, The Battle of New Orleans. And this was by far the best episode of the season. It was an amazing episode. I really loved everything that happened in it. There's a lot of stuff that I really liked about the episode. And, definitely sets up for a really amazing, hopefully really great, finale. I think the finale is going to be epic for this show. And the way they ended it, I cannot wait for the finale. I think it's going to be great, and I'm pumped for the finale. I was already pumped for the finale, but I think it's going to be even better now. Because of just the way they ended it, I thought was definitely very well done. And let's just get to it, because I really enjoyed this episode. As I said, it's probably my favorite episode of the season. So we first see Jackson and Oliver, those werewolves, and they're speeding down the road with a bag of rocks. Oliver says it's a lot of driving, and he says that Haley seems to have Klaus wrapped around her finger, which is kind of true. They roll up on a police block, and Jackson tells Oliver to relax. The officers ask them to step out of the car, then they pull the guns on them. Marcel and Diego are there and have compelled the officers. Marcel says to do as they say before things take a nasty turn, and Josh backs in the sun, enjoying his daylight ring made for him by Davina, and she tells him now that he has the ring, he needs to leave town. And he says she needed him and he's not going, because Josh is her best friend. He really doesn't want to leave on her. And she basically telling him, now you have this ring, you need to leave, it's for your own safety. And she sees Michael's ghost on the street corner, and Josh asks if she's okay. She says Marcel asked her for a cloaking spell because she's going to make a big move on Klaus. She gave it to him, but is worried Klaus will find out. She says Klaus isn't the only thing to be afraid of and asks him to leave town if war breaks out. So Genevieve looks at the Moonlight Ring spell and tells Klaus it's very complicated. She tells him that her new spell will protect the moon, but will also increase strength and speed. So she's got venom in there too to make the wolves lethal to vampires, and he tells her he wants 100 of the rings, not just one, for Haley. And Genevieve says that that's not the deal she made with Elijah, and he tells her that the deal has changed. He says the deal has changed, and that's what he tries to do. He tries to basically negotiate with her, and he's trying to flirt with her, and she asks if he thinks she'll do it, and because they're sleeping together, he offers her not only protection, but a gift of his mother's grimoire. And all she has to do, and I actually thought this was a pretty good plan. I knew it wasn't going to work, but I thought it was a good plan. All she has to do is make the rings and pledge loyalty. And she tells him his plan is build a werewolf army. And he tells her that he and the wolves are not her enemy. He says if she does this for him, she will never need to fear anyone again. And I thought that was a pretty good plan, but we knew it wasn't going to work. So at Cammie's workplace, the customers are hustled out by Francesca and her muscle, and Francesca tells Cammie that she's the new owner and she got it cheap since Sophie kicked the bucket. Cammie tells her she doesn't want any trouble. Francesca says she wants Kieran's key. Cammie doesn't think that Francesca will use it to protect anyone but herself. So she then tells Cammie that the key is hers as leader of the human faction. So Cammie tells her that she doesn't have the key, and Francesca tells her that New Orleans is a hard city to get by in without friends. So she gives Cammie a day to turn up with the key before things get ugly. Diego beats on Oliver and Jackson, tells them to stop. Marcel wants to know why they're meeting with Klaus and why they have a bag of black cyanide stones. And Marcel says he knows enough to know they are witch spell ingredients. Neither of the wolves are talking. Diego says the problem with 2 werewolf hostages is that you only need 1. And he then pulls out a wedding torch, threatens Oliver. Jackson says if they let Oliver go, he'll tell them anything they want to know. Marcel says that's a deal. Marcel tells Diego to drop Oliver off way out in the bayou since he'll be going wolf in about 8 hours away anyway. So Diego asks if he'll get to kill Jackson, but Marcel says he has a better idea. So Klaus takes a call from Elijah telling him the wolves have gone lost, and Klaus says that their car was abandoned on a back road. By the way, you do see the Klaus and Elijah. Elijah's definitely on Klaus's side at this point, which I do like. and Klaus says it can only be Marcel who have the nerve to take them. So he tells Elijah Davina gave Marcel a cloaking spell, and he needs some leverage before he goes to see her. He tells Elijah he's taking care of it. He sees Josh, pounces on him, gives him a potentially lethal hybrid bite, so, you know, right away it's pretty intense. Not right away, but I mean, it's starting to get intense here. Davina sits in a greenhouse, and Mikael is there too. He calls her, but she can't see him. She walks toward his voice and looks around. Josh is thrown at her feet, and he tells her he's sorry. Klaus comes in, tells her that Josh has a werewolf bite that will kill him. She asks why he did it, and he says because she sided with Marcel. He says he can cure him if she tells him where Marcel is. She asks if he'll kill Marcel too, and he says that Marcel chose his path. Davina says that he's in Thierry's old place, a warehouse by the river. He starts to leave and tells her that Josh has 24 hours to leave and that he'll cure him after he makes sure he has no further use for Davina. And you know what? The thing I like about Davina is she's really not siding with anyone at this point. Yes, she is with Marcel because she cares about Marcel, but she's really not taking sides. It's really just she's plotting against Klaus, and that I think that's pretty cool that Davina really is the one that's plotting against Klaus. We know that it's not going to work, and I really hope Davina doesn't die, because I really do like her as a character. I think she's a great character, and I really hope she doesn't die or anything. But it's going to be interesting to see where that, you know, it was interesting to see what happened there. So Haley's pacing, Haley's pacing, and she's very worried because Elijah isn't back yet. Genevieve tells her to sit down, relax. She tells her high blood pressure is bad for the baby. And Haley says she feels useless, but Genevieve tells her she's the point of all this drama and she's a bit envious. So she tells her that she can't work the spell and needs to find the stones. And she tells Haley to have a little faith. So Klaus shows up, finds Jackson tied up, and an explosive device triggered to Jackson's chair. Elijah works on dismantling the IED, and Elijah says the explosives are like the ones from the attack on the bayou, and asks why he thinks Marcel is innocent. Klaus finds more and more explosives, including dynamite, and, you know, he doesn't want another attack to happen, because we know what happened last time when an attack happened. So one detonator goes green as Haley's on the phone with Elijah, stressing out. In the last box, Klaus finds a note that says, "This is for Thierry." They run for Jackson as the building explodes in a fireball. Elijah brings Jackson in, and she says, "Thank God you're alive." Klaus tells her he's alive, she cares. She asks about the stones. Elijah says they are all in the Mississippi. She's kind of ignoring Klaus because she really doesn't give a shit about him. And Jackson says it's his fault, but Haley says no one is blaming him. Klaus says he's blaming him, but has a backup plan to get more stones. Klaus invites Francesca over. She brings her brothers along to negotiate. She introduces him to them. She says if he and Marcel are going to war, she wants to be on the winning side. She offers Klaus a handful of the Neem rocks and says she can get more. And Elijah is suspicious of her, but she says she just wants her family protected. And she tells Elijah her price for doing business was full disclosure, and she says she wants to solidify her allegiance to the ruling class. And she says she's worried about Marcel coming after her and hers. She asks to consolidate their efforts, and Klaus agrees. So Haley treats Jackson's wounds, and he thanks her. She says to thank Elijah for saving you. She tells him this is the last time he'll have to change against his will, and he tells her that Elijah's doing all this for her, and that she's changing things for the wolves. Elijah comes in, Jackson thanks him and leaves, and then Elijah tells her that Jackson risked his life to save Ollie, and he says he's a good man, and Haley agrees, and she tells him that her family betrothed her to Jackson. She says she didn't know how to tell him, and he says he understands sacrifice for family. She tells him not to be noble, and to tell her that it's stupid and she has a choice, and they kiss again. So I was surprised, you know, I like that we're kind of getting a relationship from them, because it's kind of about time. Now, from this scene here, it's pretty much all-out war. Genevieve tells Klaus she needs one last ingredient. She says she needs the blood of the werewolf that doesn't turn the full moon. And he says he can't have Haley's. And then Marcel welcomes a group of vampires. And I really like this scene. I thought this was very well done. And basically, he's telling the vampires that Klaus found a way to make the wolves lethal, them 24/7. He says if Klaus does this, the vampires will go from hunters to prey in one night. He says the explosion at the docks was him trying to stop Klaus, but it didn't work. And Marcel tells him that if you know yourself and your enemy, you can triumph in battle. And Marcel says they will go tonight, hit them hard, kill the witch and the spellbook, and destroy it all at once. So he says he knows all the nooks and crannies of the compound. And he says he will draw Klaus away, and they just have to get to around Elijah to take out the witch. He asks who's with him, and the vampires all cheer. So Genevieve works a spell as Klaus and Haley watch. She chants, Francesca comes in, says Marcel is on the way with friends, and Haley refuses to leave and says she'll guard Genevieve while she finishes. Francesca offers to stay with them as well. Haley tells Elijah to go and not hold back. They lock eyes for a moment, and then he and Klaus leave. So in the courtyard of the compound, vampires stream in to face off with Klaus and Elijah. He tells her his brother he thought they had learned their lesson. Marcel shows up and tells Klaus he has one last chance to pack his stuff and get out of town. So, basically, though, as we know, Klaus, basically, he's done with negotiating with Marcel. He wants to kill Marcel, and that's what he wants to do. So, obviously, he didn't do that. And Elijah tells the other vampires to come at him. Klaus beats Marcel... Klaus beats Marcel into the street and calls him pathetic for using explosive. Klaus says the explosions were like the ones in the bayou. Marcel says he got those from Francesca. He says he wouldn't go after a pregnant one because he's not a monster like Klaus. Obviously, he's not going to go after Haley. And Cammie's looking at a family tree that's in the file she was left. And there's a note that says the Guerra wolves may still be in the quarter. She thinks about when Francesca told her the family had been in New Orleans a long time. And she makes a hurried call. So, in the meantime, Elijah is literally beating the shit out of all of these... vampires, one after another. I thought this was awesome. I love this scene, personally. I thought this was very well done. Diego orders them to flank him and take him down. Elijah is a whirlwind of death. One of Francesca's guards tells her that he needs to go, but she says not yet. Watches Genevieve. Cammie tries to call Haley, who ignores the call. Genevieve tells her the stones are finished, and Haley says she'll get them to the bayou, but then Francesca says she's taking them. So Genevieve hands them over, and they tell Haley it was a side deal. Haley asks if she's crazy, thinking humans can go up against Klaus. Francesca says she doesn't think that, and then she starts to shift. Her eyes turn yellow, and she tells Haley she's like her, and is going to take back her town. Haley says like hell, goes for her. Genevieve knocks her out with her magic, and Francesca tells Genevieve not to look so dour. She says, we both got what we wanted, as the witch looks down at Haley's unconscious body. In the meantime, Klaus is beating up Marcel to the ground. He stops when the other vampire is subdued. Klaus tells him his name fits so well because it means little warrior. Marcel struggles to his feet. Klaus smacks him into a car, asks if there is no end to his defiance. Klaus says he must put him out of his misery and bites Marcel. So Cammie leaves Haley a message saying Francesca is a werewolf descendant. Francesca tells her brothers their time has come, and she tells them that they know what to do and give them each a stone. They are able to stop the change, go on the attack. Klaus stumbles to his knees as his hand comes open where Genevieve sliced him, and he looks at Marcel and he speeds off. The fountain in the courtyard runs blood, and Elijah asks if the vampires are done. So, Francesca comes in, asks if they're done. Her brothers attack Elijah and bite them. Diego yells out to the other vampires to run. Francesca tells them to kill as many of them as they can. They go to it. Diego runs but is caught. So, Klaus comes in, bites a guy sweeping up at the restaurant. His hand still is not healing at this point. Genevieve comes in, tells him that he looks awful. He asks what she's done. She says she linked the power to his blood. And he asks how she can do this. And she asks him if he ever intended to give his mother, his mother's grimoire. So, she asks if he ever cared about her, and he says she'll never know. Genevieve tells him Francesca kept her end of the deal. And she says the great irony is in wanting to take the city, and he's lost everything. Rebecca, Marcel, and his child. And she says Haley will suffer because of his greed, and he says he'll kill her. She says he's too weak, and knocks him down screaming with some magic. So that was definitely really big. So Davina tends to Josh in the greenhouse. He's struggling, and she tries to get him to drink some water. And Mikael is there, and tells her that she shouldn't be surprised that Klaus left Josh to die. He tells her that Josh doesn't have much time, and he says as long as Klaus is in New Orleans, he can do it to Josh again, even if she stops it. Honestly, I have a feeling Josh is gonna die. I do. It's the finale next week. People are going to die. We know that. This is the originals. The originals, as I said, it is like Game of Thrones. The only difference is that two major characters have died so far. Davina's come back, but Sophie, she's permanently dead. Kieran's dead as well. So those two have died. So I think that probably a lot of people are going to die in the next episode. And I'll definitely get to that. Josh is definitely going to be one of them. And Josh is coughing. She goes to him. He asks who she's talking to. She says it doesn't matter. She tells him she's going to fix him. And I don't think it's going to work in the long run because he doesn't know about Mikael. So obviously he has to find out about Mikael. The very end of the episode that was very interesting. The very end of the episode was very interesting. Francesca tells him that it was going to be Haley's pack, but they have something that will inspire loyalty from the Crescents and Guaras. She holds up the rock. She says the only thing she had to trade away was the one person that could have challenged them. She says every revolution will require sacrifice and that the witches drove a hard bargain. She says the city can belong to the wolves again. All they have to do is take it. She holds the black rock, takes it. In the compound, vampires are dying from wolf bites. Marcel comes and goes to each of them, and he grabs at him as he collapses. Diego is, I think, dead, pretty much. Cammie is freaking out at this point. She comes in, and you can see that Cammie is going to stay loyal to Marcel, which I was a little surprised about, but okay. She tells him to find Klaus because they need his blood. Elijah comes to, goes for Marcel, but Cammie tells him he doesn't have Haley. She says someone else does. Elijah asks where Klaus is. He says he left him in the street. And the very last scene, I knew this was going to happen. I knew eventually they had to show this. Haley's having her baby. That's how the episode ends. Is that she's dragging her to church and the baby's coming. They're lifting her off her feet. Genevieve and Monique are there. And they're basically telling her, Haley, when you have that baby, we are going to take your baby and we need to do it. We have no other choice. And basically they say the ancestors are demanding an offer for power and her child will be that offering. And Haley says, why don't you just kill the ancestors? Monique says she won't and neither will Klaus and Elijah. Genevieve tells her she's sorry, but this is the way it has to be. And as she's screaming, Klaus hears this, and screams out in rage as he staggers weakly down the street. So, that's how it ends. So, I'm really wondering what's going to happen here. Here's pretty much what I think is going to happen. Haley, I don't see Haley living. I don't. I see Haley probably, I don't know if she's going to die. I think she's going to, maybe she'll die in childbirth. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if the show will go that far, but it could do that. Cammie, at this point, I see her dying. I do. Cammie is probably going to die because she's on the human side. And it's pretty much now Marcel, Cammie, Davina versus Marcel, Cammie, Davina, Haley. It's surprisingly Haley. What I like was that Haley completely took a turn on Klaus in this episode. She made it seem like she was on Klaus and Elijah's side. I'm sure she still is on Elijah's side, but either way, she is no longer on Klaus's side. She has now turned against them, and she's now on Genevieve and Monique and, shit, what was her name? I can't think of her name now. Francesca, she's on their side at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And I'm really looking forward to the finale. I think it's going to be really intense. Definitely in the end, it's going to be Klaus versus Marcel. I think Marcel's probably going to die. I think it's going to happen. I definitely think this show, whatever happens, it's going to be a great finale. I'm really looking forward to it. And, one of the things I love is, as I said, it's just getting more and more intense, and it's a lot like Game of Thrones, because everyone's turned against each other, and Haley turned against all of them, Cammie turned against them, and I just thought it was definitely just a great episode. Will Davina be able to save Josh? I don't know. What's going to happen with Haley and the baby? Will she actually give up the baby? I don't know. Marcel and Klaus, obviously Klaus is going to win because he can't die. Obviously, if Klaus dies, everybody dies, which is not going to happen. It's only Season 1. But what's going to happen in the final fight between Marcel and Klaus? What's going to happen there? Genevieve, I see all of them dying. I really do. I see them dying at this point. Is Haley with Elijah, or was that all just to go against them? I really don't know. That's it for my review, though. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Awkward. So, see you then. Bye.